Are the greatest treasures of ancient Greece being put under threat because of financial austerity? This week on Fast Track, we find out why Greek antiquities are at risk from smugglers and lack of financial protection. Peaking to Paris in 33 days, we bring you part 2 of our reports from the world's biggest vintage car rally.
Later on the Fast Track Travel Clinic, could it really be cheaper legally to change your name than pay for a mistake on an airline booking?
Welcome to Fast Track. I'm Fiona Foster. Thank you for joining us. Now, the past couple of years have not been overly kind to Greece, which has found itself making headline news for all the wrong reasons. Now, further austerity measures are raising concerns about the future of some of the country's most prized archaeological possessions. As Theopis Skarlatos reports from Athens.
People have travelled to Greece to marvel at its ancient ruins for centuries. The Acropolis, with its magnificent temples, tower over Athens, and beneath it lies a city littered with an abundance of antiquities, many dating back to 5th century BC. Now, official statistics show the country's museums and archaeological sites have been attracting increasing numbers of visitors, 33% more in fact than this time last year.
It's just for today or?
Today is Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday closed.
The economic crisis, though, now in its 5th year, has brought with it difficulties. Cuts to staff has meant limited opening times, and there are fresh concerns about security.
We haven't been able to pay for our bills like electricity or water bills or phone bills since December 2012, because the Archaeological Receipt Fund that pays for all these bills have sent the costs to the Ministry of Finance, and they haven't approved them yet. So you can imagine what it means for a museum to be threatened to be cut off its electricity, and what that means for its operation or for its alarm.
But it's not only the registered antiquities in the museums that people worry about. Detective Tsoukalis has devoted much of his life to hunting down illegal antiquities traders, here making an arrest in Athens. He says with the crisis he's seen a rise in people trying to sell on ancient artifacts they've come across to make money on the black market. Police reports show a 30% increase in illicit trading since the crisis took hold in 2009.
In the last few years with the crisis, people who have reached their limits have become more easily tempted to either sell antiquities they already have or to search in areas that may contain antiquities and sell what they find onto dealers who take them abroad. The most popular buyers are Russians, Chinese and Latin Americans. Let's not forget, antiquities have even been found in Colombia in the hands of drug dealers.
It's these unregistered and newly discovered objects that are easier to sell on.
There are 2 ways to make money out of an archaeological find. The first is the legal way to hand it into the police and you get 25% of the estimated value. But often that takes a lot of time, even years, so people are tempted by the second way on the black market. Sometimes a large object won't fetch much. Sometimes a tiny piece can be worth €1 million, but there's definitely money to be made.
Yanis, who lives in the coastal town of Derveni in Corinthia, is one such person to come across a valuable find, but he chose to contact the authorities.
Η γούβα μου τράβηξε την προσοχή για αυτά, γιατί δεν είναι όλα αυτά τα χώματα και αυτά που βλέπετε εδώ δεν υπήρχαν, ήταν.
The cave caught my attention. All this mud you see here wasn't here before. It was just like part of the road, not the cave it looks like now. There was a tree in front, and they'd cut it down. We all hear stories, but it's not the same as finding something with your own hands. It's amazing. The coins and the little statues I found were just something else.
Yanis has been told the location of the cave could be the site of an ancient temple, but he's still waiting to hear the exact value of the items he's found. Only 7 to 8% of Greece's antiquities have been discovered. The rest, archaeologists say, are at risk of being taken by opportunists eager to cash in.
But because of cuts to staff in the sector, excavation sites like this remain unmanned for the most part, if not all of the day. In fact, only recently a Macedonian tomb was stolen from a site like this elsewhere, with the entire armour of the warrior still inside.
Not far away, another ancient site easy to access, an ancient amphitheatre, the second in the world to have a view of the sea.
And you can see somebody's already tried to get into the site by the tears here in the wall.
The Ministry of Culture stresses, however, that Greece's most important ancient sites are protected.
There are a lot of guardians, but of course they are less than before. As we have less employees in other sectors, we have the same we have the same problem with the guardians, but we have done all the work that we need to protect our museums and archaeological sites and keep them safe.
This month, Greece won another bailout instalment from the EU and IMF. Archaeologists say they hope that means museums can introduce tighter security in the near future to protect not just the artefacts currently attracting visitors, but also the ones still waiting to be discovered.
Theopis Skarlatos reporting on the impact the country's financial state is having on its museums and archaeology. And do let us know what you think on that one. We'd love to hear from you. Do you think the government should be doing more to safeguard its national treasures? Drop us a line at our usual address, fasttrack@bbc.com. Now let's have a look at what else has been making headlines in the travel world this week.
Residents on the Italian island Giglio say they're frustrated that the wreck of the Costa Concordia has still not been removed. Tourists have been visiting the area to take photos, but the mayor and residents say they're fed up with delays in the salvage operation.
We're angry and really disappointed this is still going on. We've been told it'll be finished by last September, then May, then this September. We'll have to see if this time it's true.
The ship hit a reef 18 months ago, killing 32 people. Its captain is currently on trial for manslaughter and abandoning ship. Muammar Gaddafi's former compound in the Libyan capital Tripoli is to be turned into a public park. Tourism officials say they will remove debris from the Bab al-Azizi complex, which was heavily damaged in 2011 during the overthrow of Gaddafi. They hope it will become an area of greenery and say people will start seeing the first signs of the park project in the next 2 months. To hotels now, pricey Wi-Fi, does it make your blood boil? Well, a survey of international business travellers by IHG has found that not being able to connect to the internet is the biggest stress they have when checking into a hotel. 89% of the 10,000 asked said that free wireless internet would make them happier when away on business, as keeping in touch with family and friends is their top priority. And over 2,000 employees from a business in China have tackled the Sydney Harbour Bridge climb. It took 4 days to get all of the workers up and over the bridge. If you fancy a trip, tickets start at $198 Australian dollars, but check before you book, as climbs at peak times of day and in high season will cost more.
Time for a very short break now, but put the kettle on because coming up, Simon Calder's here with some advice for anyone planning a trip to Australia in his travel clinic. And Michelle Yanachan continues her epic journey from Peking to Paris in this lovely vintage car. Yes, it's time to get fast and furious, so stay with us.
Hello and welcome to the Fast Track Travel Clinic with me, Simon Calder. You may have seen our recent report on a spelling mistake that nearly cost a passenger more than $1,000 until Fast Track got involved. Well, many of you have been in touch with similar problems, such as Simon Whiffin, who's flying from London to Orlando this summer. Or is he?
Unfortunately, my daughter has put her married surname down on my flight, so I now appear as Simon Dixon. We tried to get the airline to change the name, but they say no.
The airline, Virgin Atlantic, tells me they will correct spelling errors for $50, but says your case is different. We cannot change a name on a ticket under any circumstances. Should a passenger wish to make a name change, the existing ticket must be cancelled and a new ticket must be purchased for the new traveller. At this stage, that will cost you perhaps $1,500. Fortunately, there is a solution. It sounds a bit extreme, but will be much cheaper. Under UK law, it's straightforward to change your name from Simon Whiffin to Simon Dixon. You can then apply for a new passport under this new name. Then, when you turn up at London's Gatwick Airport, they'll be expecting you. It'll cost around $200 to arrange, and the same again if you want to revert to your real identity when you return, but that will still save you more than $1,000. Lisa Kennedy from Dublin asks a big question.
Which, in your opinion, is the most appealing state in Australia? I've been to Sydney, Brisbane and along the Queensland coast, and now I'd like to concentrate on a single region.
Lisa, I've been lucky enough to travel to all the Australian states and territories, and there's much to recommend in every single one. But in terms of those elusive travel moments that make you go, wow, well, Victoria and Tasmania are the two smallest states, yet packed with history, diversity and natural beauty, not to mention great beaches and capital cities. The Northern Territory deserves an honourable mention too, with everything from the drama of Uluru, perhaps better known as Ayers Rock, to the Aboriginal heritage in Kakadu National Park. Tracy Kaluski is visiting St Petersburg in the summer and says,
I am thinking of adding a 2-night stay in Moscow. How easy and safe is it for a lone female to travel in Russia?
Moscow makes a perfect combination with St Petersburg. Russia's two biggest cities are very different but endlessly fascinating. The ideal way to travel between them is by train. The air journey is tedious because of the airport complications, and I would strongly suggest you take the train by night because the scenery isn't noted for its great diversity. You won't be missing much sleeping through most of it. Theft is much more of a risk than your personal safety being in danger. Finally, Douglas Bolton gets in touch from Dallas in Texas to ask,
I want to drive the length of the Baja Peninsula in Mexico, but only one way. Can I rent a car in Tijuana and drop it off in Los Cabos at the southern tip?
Yes, and what a magnificent trip it will be. More than 1,000 miles along this dramatic peninsula, with plenty of interest from whale watching to unspoilt beaches along the way. But it won't be cheap. The basic rate for renting a compact car for a week is around $500, but if you want to leave the car somewhere else, you'll pay a drop-off charge of 70 cents a mile. And if you drive every bit of Mexico's Highway 1, which runs the length of Baja, that could more than double the cost. The budget alternative is the bus, which will cost around $150 one way in the most luxurious vehicles, and it's easy to break up the journey as and when you like. For example, there are 4 buses an hour between Tijuana and Ensenada. And when you finally reach Los Cabos, you can simply step aboard a flight back to Dallas-Fort Worth. That's all we've got time for in this session of the Fast Track Travel Clinic. From me, Simon Calder, bye for now and see you next time.
Simon Calder, is there anything that man doesn't know? Now, last week we saw 100 drivers set off from China in one of the world's most gruelling car races, the Peking to Paris Vintage Car Rally. Time now to catch up with Michelle Yanachan as she continues her long journey towards the finishing line. Let's hope she's packed enough spare parts.
It had been a week on the road, from the Great Wall of China north across the border into Mongolia. And we could not have hoped for a better position. Driving a 1940 Ford Coupe we'd named Shiner, my co-driver Mike Reeves and I found ourselves in first place.
Beginning of day 6, pulling out of the square in Ulaanbaatar, and now trying to keep our lead.
We were both nervous, feeling the pressure with everything to lose.
1 minute to go.
But we were also full of hope and fired up on team spirit. We headed north and west, onwards to Marin, and what turned out to be our toughest day so far.
Well, we heard some metal dragging on the ground from inside the car, and we both leapt out, and we've seen one of the suspension linkages is broken. So we're jacking up the car and we're going to just tie it up with bungees.
But even as we temporarily fixed the car's suspension, we had to face a new, more serious problem.
Suddenly the gear linkage went. I was trying to put it in the car up the hill, and it went, and I couldn't, and there was just no feel, like as much as you moved the gear stick, it was just like exploding in fresh air.
That meant we were now fighting the clock from the end of a tow rope.
We made it. We're still in contention, basically, with a really, really broken car. We've got to fix the gear linkage tonight and the suspension.
Window.
One side window, the other window. But we just got to fix the gear linkage because actually we can drive with the suspension like this. It's terribly slow and we're just falling down places, but we can drive. Just need to get the car in gear.
We'd fallen to 6th place, and we began to realise that the rally was not only about driving quickly, but also about finding the stamina to fix a broken car every night, whether welding, changing dampers, or patching tyres. Our home was a borrowed tent, and we washed our clothes in glacial lakes as we travelled further into Mongolia's remote west.
Well, we've just traversed up a very deep V-shaped gorge stroke valley, and Shiner was working.
Yeah, we came across some organic obstacles in the form of a couple of herds of sheep and goat,
And
a local truck.
A local truck, a few blind crests, but we absolutely hammered the car up the hill here, which is a very steep ascent. There's a car coming up right now, really struggling behind us.
I mean, a car came up in reverse just a few minutes ago because it couldn't come up.
So hopefully we were kind of revving Shiner much harder than we normally would.
And much harder than the Shiner should be revved.
Yeah, so hopefully it's all okay, but we need the time. Every second counts for us.
And it was tough days like this one, which made the astonishingly beautiful landscapes even more of a reward. We were sad to say goodbye to Mongolia, not only because of its rugged beauty, but also because of its highly charged, highly competitive time trials.
We are ready, really. We're ready for this. Another time trial in Mongolia. It's a beautiful day, chilly, really chilly. Snowy mountains, lots of plains in front of us. There's a lot to do.
We drove as hard as we dared, clawing back 2 spots to 4th place and hoping to continue climbing up the leaderboard as we crossed the border into Siberia.
Michelle Yanachan as she continues her journey westwards. What wouldn't she give for a bit of smooth motorway right now? And that's it for this week. Next week, do try and join us as we find Michelle edging ever closer to the finish line. Plus,
I'll be in Ireland to find out all about the gathering and how it's being used to help the Irish economy.
The gathering is about emphasising the culture, the warmth, the welcome of Ireland. And obviously the net result will be economic, but the whole vehicle through which that's expressed is a cultural vehicle.
But until then, don't forget you can catch up with all our stories and reports on our website at the address shown below. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter. But till next time, from me, Fiona Foster, and the rest of the Fast Track team, thanks for watching and happy travelling. Bye-bye.